Hey folks, it's Steve Knight along with...
I'm Jen Shade.
Yeah, everybody knows this girl, but how well do you really know? How well do I even really know you?
That's the people who admit it.
Yeah, we're going to get to know her a lot better. She's here. It's coming at you right now. A brand new episode of The Night Shift. Okay, so 16-year-old Jen Shade is at Redland High School, and she's saying to herself, I think I want to do this with my life. What was that when you were 16?
I went to art school.
Okay.
I went to Tyler School of Art at Temple University. I was not planning on what I have just done for, you know what I didn't tell you? I've realized this just a week ago when I was going through some stuff and cleaning out the house over the holidays. It's year number 35.
Yeah.
I found a big old banner that I had and from 10 years ago when and I was like, oh, and I looked up and I did the math and I went, I've been in broadcasting for 35 years. 25 makes you feel like, yeah, I got some cred, some clout.
Yeah.
35, I think, makes you feel old.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this at all.
Tell me about it. I'm doing the math quick in my head. Yeah, we're a lot of what you and I have done. Honestly, we've kind of run parallel lives, with each other.
Same town.
Yeah, same town. Well, I was thinking about, what would be the biggest things that I would want to ask you? And I'm going to ask you the question that a lot of people ask me. And it always comes from a good place when they ask me this. But, you grew up here. You stayed here. You and I both know whether you want to say this out loud or not. You're a major market talent. Like you could have gone to Philly, you could have gone to New York, you could have gone to LA, whatever. So when people ask me the question, I always take it as a compliment. But because most people, when they get into this business, and certainly when they get into this business in this area, for a lot of them, we've seen a lot come and go. It's, okay, well, I'm going to do this here because I want to get to...
Stepping stone.
Stepping stone, yeah, exactly. So why did you stay?
Well, I mean, when I went to Philly to art school, it's Philly.
Yeah.
And it's got pluses and minuses. It's not central PA, and you had to live on the second floor, and you had to lock your cars or move. All this stuff that happens when you live in a big city. Great culture, but a lot more difficult. And I think I was voted in school like most likely to leave and never come back. And after that, I was the first one back, probably. Mostly though because radio got involved. Yeah. But I don't know. Like I had offers.
Yeah.
I had people. When I first started, I had offers to go back to Philly, and hey, somebody was driving through town, and I was on the old WTPA, and I had just first started, and I called on the phone for the hotline, and they were from Philly, and they said, "Do you ever think about moving to a big city?" And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I just came from there, so I did have a good soaking of that at first. So maybe that's what changed my mind, but I realized too, like it was kind of wherever you go, there you are thing. It's like I could go there and probably make more money, but living is a little bit more difficult, complicated, hard, more expensive, all those things. And I love this area. I love this community. Maybe more than I realized when, I was in school. I don't know what to appreciate at that point. So I was like, I'll just stay. And then some offers came in and, Tennessee, across, California. And I just thought, I don't see the point. And then, when I had my family and my daughter, that becomes more complicated. And it's not that I couldn't. It just, I didn't really know what it was for. And I'm very happy here. I feel like I've done a lot of good work for the community, and that's really what I want, whether it's, music or, my other love, which is motorcycles. And I was able to still have my family and still be in the market. I'm not saying it was easy. It's very, very difficult. There are a lot of influencers out there who are like, I'm gonna, and you don't realize, especially when you're doom scrolling and just kind of flipping through stuff, you're watching things at a high rate. You have no idea the work behind it, the cameras involved, the time involved. For me, the prep involved. I don't have a producer. I don't have any of that. It's all me. So it's a ton of work. and I just got grooved into it, and I loved it, and I stayed.
Yeah.
And I'm happy I did.
Yeah, that to me that all just sounds really. It's just that there's a comfort, I guess, of being here, being where you grew up, and I've always felt. I mean, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I've always thought, you go travel around, you go, well, I think I could live here. That's it. But at the end of the day, I don't think I could live anywhere else and be happy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel the same way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
This is where my heart is. This is my home.
These are our friends. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think, especially growing up in our age and TV, you always thought, oh, bigger's better. And I'm glad I wised up quick, because that's not always the case. Plus, and I don't know about the the TV aspect of it, but I know in the radio aspect, you hit that tour, like I call it a tour, like you go out and you get another job, you're usually about a 2-year gig. And then you got to pick up and move again, or pick up and move again. They'll start a station, they'll blow it up, blah, blah, blah. And it's no different. I mean, the medium, and I learned that very early on. Art school was very good for me. I had an instructor, his name was Paul Sheriff, and he was rough. And it was in the graphic design department, and he was going over some work and stuff, and we kept having to do things by hand over and over again. I go, we have computers, we can do this, we can do that, why are you making us do this? And he said, and I'll carry this with me, probably in 5 lives. He said, the tools will always change. I'm trying to teach you how to problem solve. So no matter what it is you're doing, you're always going to have some kind of new development, new technology or whatever. But what you're trying to do is figure out what you want the outcome to be and what kind of tools you're going to use. So go into things with that. And I immediately sat down and shut up for a long time after that, and realized. So no matter where I went, it was going to be the same kind of thing. It just gets more complicated. It gets trickier when you got to move your whole house all the time. This is not an easy business. I mean, media in general, no matter what it is, and now with all of the podcasts and everything else, it's a big effort, and it's a commitment. I gave up a lot of my life, my personal life, for this. And it looks easy, and people may judge me on what they think I am or what I was at one point or another, but it's really, it's been and I think sometimes people are disappointed, friends, in my life, relationships, because they see one thing, and then they get close. And then they realize I'm working at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, getting ready for the next day. I'm up at 3:30 in the morning. And I had a good time doing it. I was wild and crazy. We're all out having fun. In the meantime, hosting gigs and doing stuff like that, seeing bands. But the work is intense, and it's all day, every day.
Yeah, and that's, I always try to couch everything with when people ask me about the business and about broadcasting, because from the outsider looking in, like, I never want to sound like, it's a sob story, anything along those lines. My pat answer is always, well, look, I'm not digging ditches. But speaking of disappointing people, like, it disappoints people when I actually say to them, believe it or not, it's a lot of hard work, and there are a lot of rough days, and there are a lot of really long days.
There's days you don't want to do it.
Yeah. Oh.
You're tired, you're sick, you got personal things going on, something in your world just completely exploded, and you're supposed to go, hey, this is great.
Yeah, life is wonderful. Yeah, it's going to be sunny. Yeah, and you can't carry any of that. You and I are wired the same way. I say to people all the time, like, I don't get to go to work and bury myself in a computer in a cubicle. I'm sure people that bury themselves in a computer in a cubicle have really lousy days and look at what I do and go, boy, that would be, but it's just like anything. The center fielder for the New York Yankees would probably, if he had a chance, tell us, it's really kind of a pain in the ass some days.
Well, you get the accolades and you get some of the highs off of it, but the rest of it, the criticism, I could do that, or and now we see it all. Like, that's another good thing. Like, I have dealt with that criticism and that snark and that scream and that know-it-all mentality coming. I call them the butters. Well, but whatever, and people just all out rifling you. Verbally assaulting you. I've been dealing with that for 30 years. It doesn't matter. I mean, it used to be picking up the phone. Now it's opening up, a computer screen, the text clubs, whatever, and they'll hammer you pretty quick, or they'll correct you. So that in itself would destroy most people. And I'm going to be honest, it almost has. There have been several times where because I'm not feeling great, changes in my life, I'm not good, and I still have to go in there and perform. Now, it's a little bit different for me because we do a talk show kind of thing. We're conversational. Even my news stuff is conversational. So you can't do 4 hours a day live every day and not let some of yourself out. But at the same time, there's a lot you hold back. And then you finally let something go, and then somebody criticizes you, and you go home and cry for 2 days, and like, oh my God, I'm a failure, or people don't like me. And I came out of a lot of deficit in my life in the beginning. So one of the reasons I think I did it was because I thought if you don't have anything at home, anyone at home, that you go out into the world and thousands of people telling you that they love you is going to make you feel good. And that's not only is that not the way it works, it also can reverse itself, where you've got people yelling and screaming at you for sometimes even no reason other than opinion. Now the rest of the world's getting the hang of that. Now they're starting to see it. So okay, I'm a little polished on that part.
Yeah.
But it's a lot. So there's
Yeah.
whole different aspects of it besides just the job.
And it gets personal, and that's, I always talk about, hey, people, the biggest thing I get, right, is, and we're just coming off a farm show week, and it's inevitable. I must have had 15 people, generally, old men come up to me in front of their wife, and they're going to impress their wife with a really original, really funny joke, and they go, you know what, I tell my wife all the time, that Steve Knight, he's got the best job in the world, because he gets to be wrong half the time, and he still gets to keep his job, huh? And my pat response to that is, oh my God, I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, ever.
And it's funny, and people actually go, you never heard that one? That's a good one, isn't it? So at any rate, I get it. I just recently, and I don't do this very often, but it was so bad, I actually lashed out. And I try not to do this, but I went to social media, and
I've seen you hit it. I have too. We can do that a little bit more, which is cool, because not everybody can. I don't know how, I call them the mainframers, the people that have to constantly look at the camera, and because it's a little bit of a luxury to be able to fight back once in a while. I've been told it's not ladylike. I've been told, all kind. I'm like, it's not becoming of a person and your stature in the community. I'm like, I don't have to take your crap either all the time. Right. So I saw that one where you went down, because people are mean.
Well, and what concerned me, and honestly, I didn't, but even my family, they're basically saying, they were telling me that I was part of some grand conspiracy to rig the weather. How people have just gone bing, and, and they're like, you need to be silenced. And I'm sorry, in our current climate out there, there are enough people, and we hear it all the time, there are enough people that really do think the media is trying to create a narrative and that we do need to be silenced. What does that mean? Does that mean I need to be silenced at the farm show the way that other people have been violently silenced? It's somewhat concerning. We just had somebody walk by our booth this week at the farm show, and I was this close. I know where the state police are in the farm show complex, and I know that for a reason. I was this close, Jen, to thankfully he did move on, but it was using every word in the book, verbal assault. Why don't you people, you're lying, why don't you talk about Iran? Why don't you this? Why don't you that? How come you're not investigating this? And I'm just like, dude, we're the local yokel news, buddy.
We have a community to serve that does not, first of all, any person that can either sit at a computer or use their phone and complain about something can also look up any argument for and against before they come at you. But they don't. So they've got a formed opinion, and they aim it at you, and it may be completely unfounded, have no truth to it, but they feel like they're right, and they're entitled to take you for it. And what they don't realize is that I'm looking, and I get people do that, especially with the text club, while we're talking. And but you don't understand. You're not the only person here, okay? There are other people here that we serve. We have I'm in the weirdest, most interesting position I think anybody in broadcasting could be in, really, because I do news, and we do it conversational style. So I have to learn, think, read, and absorb a ton of stuff, because the guys, my partners with Nips and Vince on the People's Morning Show, they can bring up anything and say anything. And it's what I don't say. I got to be ready, but I don't use about 95% of what I've got. because it's not appropriate for the room and what's going on. We have a heavy military presence in this area. We have men, women, children. Rock, when I first started, Steve, I don't know if you ever heard this one. When I first started, I was told rock listeners can't finance a glass of water. They don't care about the news. I still get it every once in a great. They don't care about. I'm like, listen, you got to know who your audience is. And so when I'm talking, I'm serving all of them to the best of my ability, not one side or the other. And that's a bit of a trick because, again, nobody tells me what to say, and I might not know until I step in it. And with all of the things that have been so, like with COVID and the presidential race, all at that same time, and us, what people didn't realize in through all of that is we're just trying to make sense of something we don't understand. Nobody does. And we're trying to make sure that A, you're safe, and B, you got what you need to go on through your day. And I may mention something one day just so I know I said it, so somebody heard it, because it may be referenced later on down the road. So it's a rolling cycle. And people tune in or tune out, get one bit that they like or don't like, and if they don't like, it's like going to a restaurant. You have a bad meal, most people just leave and never come back. You don't want that. They won't tell you what was wrong so the manager can fix it or anything else. So they'll get that one little piece and they'll click on or off or in or out or whatever the case is, and then that's it. But you're left holding it. Not just the bag legally, there's another issue. You got legal stuff. You got clients.
Another thing that people don't think about is the legal end, the client end, and everything that we say. We're always, what you do is a little bit more freeform our news, for the most part, when we're doing a news story, is scripted. But what I do, there's nothing in the prompter for me, and it's also my, we call them kickers, but it's also my job to entertain when we do the lighter news stories. Yeah. But I'm always very, very conscious of, man, you got to be careful because
every word.
Yeah.
Every single word.
Yeah.
And I tried to explain this recently when we got into the subject on the air. What people don't realize is, especially when some of this stuff happened, we're licensed. And when there's a possibility that you do something wrong, that the station could lose their license or hit a massive fine, that's a whole different ballgame.
Oh, yeah.
People on the internet, they may lose a sponsor, they may whatever, actually it may improve their whatever, but they don't play in that. It's a whole different arena. And I'm not saying one's better or worse, because in some ways, I'm envious. You say whatever the heck you want. You also have consequences.
Yeah.
And we all do. But when you're playing in the licensed arena, that's a different situation.
Yeah.
And so that requires constant monitoring and care and paying attention on the fact that I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to ruin a business. I don't want to cause damage or harm. I'm trying to be helpful. And then as a female, check this out. Then I get the B word. Or motherly.
Bestie?
Yeah, bestie. It ain't bestie. And it's usually followed with a string of other things. But and I even have to sometimes remind the people I work with, I don't want to get into that motherly thing. Look, I'm trying to help you, but I'm not telling you what to do. I'm trying to guide you. And at least my biggest thing is just be aware there are other sides of the conversation. Just be aware. And I get sick of myself. I get sick of hearing it sometimes. And just so you know, there's this side, there's that side. I have the latitude to bring in both angles and just try to get people thinking about, and I feel this way personally, it's how I live my life. It's like, in your home first. The first time I heard that was recycling. So if you're really worried about the environment, it's great to try to play the big game on the global scale. That's another level, even on mid scales. But if you start in your own home, if everybody did that, it'd be a whole lot better.
Right.
We'd be in a lot better shape. Work on yourself first. Work on your home first. And that's not to say I'm even close to being perfect. I got tons of problems and tons of issues. But if I try to manage myself, how would I want to look at it? What do I want out of this? Do I want to have an argument? Oh, you love this because we love music too. That's the best part. I get to do a little bit of both.
Sure.
I was at a concert recently, and this kind of sums up all that kind of stuff. It was Breaking Ben. It was down in Reading.
Yeah.
And you know me, I'm up front.
Yeah.
I don't want a seat. I want to be up front.
Yeah.
So I'm up there, and we were there probably about 3 or 4 hours, which is what it is. You're standing on the concrete, but the bands were awesome. Seether was playing, the whole thing. These people behind me, there was some, I'd say about 20-somethings. one guy bumped into another. I guess we don't know how to do that much, these days because of being isolated and stuff. So people get in the crowd again and you touched me.
Yeah.
They FU'd each other for about 10 minutes. And I'm standing there going, and then what? That's all they had. I'm not saying anybody should have thrown a fist,
right.
but like I'm standing there and no, if you, no,
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
no, you, no. Then what are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're in a concert, you're elbow to elbow with everyone else. Somebody bumps into you, you start a fight. You're not doing anything because you don't know how or you don't do whatever. You just yell at each other, and there you stand.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I thought, okay, that was pointless and a total distraction. And the security came. It was a big mess. And okay, so we can all just scream at each other, and then what?
Yeah.
Then eventually the problems still have to be solved. The
Sounds
stuff
like
still has to
social
be
media.
addressed. It is.
Right.
It was like the real social
Yeah,
side.
right.
But people hide behind keyboards and stuff
Yeah.
now and screens, so they don't have to take it. Although safety and security is at a premium.
Yeah.
I mean, it always was. We have the luxury of being around this for a long time. It's just like Paul Sheriff said back in school, the method changes.
Well, so speaking of which, how, this is the grand question, because everybody that does what we do has this story. What is yours? How did we go from Philadelphia art student to being on the radio?
Mine
being
was
a broadcaster?
not normal. I would say
You are. Every once in a while you get I went to school, I was a communications major, I was on the college radio station, I got a job, and those stories are actually kind of rare.
Yeah.
Most people kind of come at it from a weird angle. So
yeah, if my daughter came home and said at the time she wanted to go to college for broadcasting, I'd be like, you're
No.
not. Go for
Yeah.
something like business,
Yeah.
which is exactly what I told her, exactly what she did.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually, so I was in art school and I was in my junior year with some credits, and I was coming home and I was doing artwork for like Shea Quinn, for the table cards that they used to have before everybody had a phone to look up schedules. A band would put, I feel like I have to explain this. Isn't that crazy? So a band had a schedule, and if you went to see them, you would do have a little piece of art on the table that had their whole list of where they were going to be, so you could follow them around. So I started doing that for bands and things, and I met up with Ed Coffey and Jeff Kaufman, and we were, I think that was at the old Villa Leo the first time there was a conversation about it.
Wow. Yeah.
Right?
Still there.
Some of these old clubs, yeah.
Yeah.
5 different names.
5 different
Same
names
way.
later, but still there. It's Boomerang now, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
right, yeah. Okay. The comedy club.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
and it just
Hasn't changed much.
No,
Yeah,
it hasn't.
but
They
at
get
any
some
rate,
music
yeah.
in there and stuff like
Yeah,
that. No,
right,
it's
yeah.
and it's cool. It's real close to my house too. So it's like,
so you meet Ed and Jeff.
I talked to them, and Ed said to me, "You have a pretty good voice. And I think, do you ever think about doing radio?" Like, no. What do you mean? He said, "Well, I think you should do a demo tape." Okay. So at the time, Kevin the Kid Bean was working at night, and they said, "Go in and talk to him, and he'll help you put something together." So that's what I did. There's a big, people still say it to me, and I don't even correct them because it doesn't really matter after all this time, but like, "Oh, you were an intern." I was never an intern. I started, I was 91, and I went into the studio. I think it was on a Monday night. We did the demo tape. It was about, I don't know, a minute and a half, 3 minutes, just so they could hear what I did. I read what I was supposed to read, did what I was supposed to do. And Kevin called me and said, "You better get in here. You're on this weekend." And I went, "Oh, God." I didn't know how to run a thing. Big carts at the time.
Oh yeah, you had to do a lot more work in those days as a disc jockey
You had to
than
hit
you do now.
You had to hit the CD player.
Oh, yeah.
You had to. We still had a couple of records left
So,
over, like
yeah.
old Fog Hat and everything.
At Starview, we still had a few
Quarter
records,
turns,
too. Yeah.
I had to do all that, messed that up a couple times,
Yeah.
watching the countdown. And I was in, I think it was Jim Cook at the time, I think at night, and he was there with me. They put me on in the middle of the night because everything was live. There's no delay, there was no second takes, no nothing, which is brilliant because you got the best schooling. So that you're not sitting at a computer now doing 65 takes because you got it, right? And money's time. Did I say that right?
Time is money.
You know what I
Money's
mean?
time.
Same.
Yeah.
So, so I went in, I did the demo, and he said, "You better get in here." So I went in, did my first 2 hours. I think it was like a 2 to 4 in the morning. And I had everything written out. And even when I coach people later on, I said, "I don't care if you write stuff out or not, just don't sound like it." Because You're new here. They're not. The listeners are never new. They've been watching and doing things. You're the new person. Don't sound like it. So I had everything written out, and I opened the mic. I'll never forget. It was like, I don't remember which Pink Floyd song it was, but there was a Pink Floyd disc in the player, and it was counting backwards. And it's like 10, 9, and there was nobody else telling me, but Jim was sitting there, and I'm like, oh my God. And I opened the mic, and I'm like, I have to talk. And so I just read what I was supposed to say, and then I stepped back, and I went, oh, shit. And he jumps over and hits the off button. The mic was open. And I'm like, ah! And I scared the hell out of myself. And I just stood there. And he looks up and he goes, you sound like you've been doing this forever. I went, okay, so that means we got to do it again. He goes, yeah, about 5 times an hour. So keep going. I'm like, oh my God. And so that was it. And I did that for about, I think it was maybe about 9 months. They made a place for me from 10 to 1 at night. So I stopped school. I said, well, school will be there. I'll probably do this for a year. I'll go back 35 years later, right? I'll finish. And that was it. And then Ed Coffey said to me, and we want you to come onto the morning show. And I don't know what made me say it. It was grace, because there's no other explanation. I just said, well, okay. I don't play a dumb blonde, and I don't get coffee. Like, I wanted a job. What was I doing? And he said, good, because that's what we're looking for. Because we have, Jeff, who is kind of like the hippie dude and the music guy, and I'm the comic guy, and we want somebody in the middle. So I've always basically equated my job as throwing tennis balls. I set up what goes on in a room, and that's how I started.
Yeah. And how long did you have that? It's funny because I was thinking about this on the way over. I'm 99% sure, although it's been a long time, and I don't know if you remember, I'm pretty sure the first time I ever actually met you was at the Villa Leo. I think I was there just to see a show, and it wasn't a Starview night, it was a TPA night, so I think you were there hosting.
Did you know Pantera played there?
I know, isn't that crazy?
I don't think,
yeah.
I wish sometimes you could go back.
Yeah.
Or take somebody with you to see what it was.
Yeah.
Everything changes.
Yeah.
That's life.
Right.
But when you would go out and there'd be 1,000 people at the Metron, and there'd be 1,000 people at the Countryside 2 nights in a row, and they would consider it a bad night if it was under 600 people for the same spandex metal band, and like, it doesn't even sound right, especially now. But yeah, so like, it wasn't just a little local bar. They were bringing music in.
Yeah. So how long was your run mornings at TPA?
I was there until it was 97. It was about 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and then magically or not, they were getting ready to sell the station, and they served us with contracts. And I was going on vacation, and I said, "Well, I'm on vacation. I'll wait." Now, again. Let me make it perfectly clear. I don't know anything other than my gut. And being a female, I knew that I didn't want to worry, do that, sexy thing. And because I saw what would happen to people. Then you go out and be like, oh, that's not what I thought you looked like.
Yeah.
I didn't want any of that. And I also knew that like the sex type stuff and the female end of it, the laughs and the giggle tracks that women classically did in radio in particular, that there was not a lot of longevity in that. It's very male dominated, still is in a lot of ways. And it was also, that's just a time thing. You're not going to be cute and sexy forever. So if you really want to do this, what else can you do? So when I said that to Ed, I couldn't believe I said it. And I'm like, don't get coffee and I don't play a dumb blonde. And he's like, good, that's what we want. I go, okay, I know my place. And that's what set it up. That's what set up the longevity.
Yeah.
Because I saw a bigger game in front of me, and I'd like to say I had the guts, or maybe I was stupid. I don't know. I just said it, and that set the pattern to where I am to this day.
To your point, and this was always the grand tradition in morning radio shows was the female was there to basically be sexy and be okay with, for lack of a better term, like the
Yep.
the sex jokes, the innuendos, to giggle. That's so funny.
The immediate laugh track. Because see, that's
Yeah.
different. When you're in a studio, and you know from your job, like,
Yeah.
so when you're in a studio, there's nothing. There is no laugh. And that was really hard. I was always better in front of a crowd. It doesn't bother me to get up in front of 20,000 people. It doesn't bother me at all because you have immediate response and immediate feedback. When you're in a studio, there's nothing. So you say the funniest thing you ever said, the best joke you ever told. I'm not good at telling jokes either. So like, and no, there's nothing. So yes, so a female was very often brought in to give that balance, make it okay for the women listeners,
Yeah.
and give that immediate feedback so the guy could go on.
Especially on rock stations.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? On rock
Absolutely.
stations, it was definitely like, if you were going to be the female on a morning show, you better be okay with, all of the innuendos, jokes,
And really,
Yeah.
I was
yeah.
the great, oh God, bring it up, the two boobs and Jen billboards that went up around town. I remember.
Gee, I don't remember those at all, Jen.
So every once in a great
That
while.
was the almost the local broadcast equivalent in central Pennsylvania of Beatlemania. It was two boobs and Jen mania. That for, I don't know, you brought it up, but it blew up.
It did.
That
Especially because
blew
one of the
up.
billboards went beside a school. I think it was a Catholic school.
Yeah, that probably went over like a fart in Catholic church.
It did. It was.
Yeah.
Well, here's what it was. The way I thought about it. I mean, first of all, I came from art school. I drew nude people all the time for 4 hours a day, every day.
Yeah.
So what?
Real quick, for those who aren't familiar, and I know most of you are, this was a billboard for the WTPA morning show with you and Ed and Jeff. And it was you, and you're going like this, and you had Ed and Jeff's headshots here that were covering your boobs, and it just said two boobs and Jen.
And Jeff with his
93.5
mustache and
WTPA.
yeah,
right.
Yeah. The
And
thing,
it went viral before
did.
things went viral.
well,
Everybody was talking about it.
because there was no national stuff. Like there weren't national shows. This was what you did. I mean, this was all there was. There weren't a lot of national driven shows. And Stern came in and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But this was a big deal. I didn't realize it at the time, I don't think. But that particular thing was funny. I mean, who am I if I don't have a sense of humor? And I think one of the disappointing things I think people find out is I'm very more serious than they realize. And I'm not like, woo, all the time. But, it's all part of me. But that particular thing, I remember thinking to myself, it's funny. I'm okay with it because it's the joke was bigger than just boobs.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that's something that, some people miss. Some people are better at it than others. I had a towel. I wasn't naked. Really interesting it was not long after I had my daughter, honestly. So I wasn't even in the best shape in my world. Like I look at those. Somebody brought out a T-shirt at a bike night the other night on my motorcycle stuff, and they're like, "Look what I have!" I'm like, "Oh my God!" And I laugh when I look at it because I'm like, "Oh God!" I'm like all like baby fatted and weird, but it was just funny.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's okay to be funny and have fun.
What was it like? Because it blew up so much, and I know because at the time can't remember if I can't remember if we were Starview or if we had switched to the Eagle at that point. This is mid '90s, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at any rate,
Later side, yeah.
yeah. So what was? I know there was a lot of. This is the best way I can put it. There were a lot of people that were shit talking you behind your back.
Oh, sure.
In the business.
Oh, sure.
Because but it came from jealousy. What was that?
Hey, you're knocking women back and all kinds
what
of.
was all that attention like? And a lot of it, some of it, more of it was positive, at least from my perspective, than negative. But what was it like dealing with the blowback and the negativity in and out of the industry?
Again, it wasn't. Now everybody's mind's warped. I don't have an OnlyFans page, for God's sake,
Right?
Because nobody pay for it. But still, I'd be refund central. No, I think I was a little bit insulated because, and we're in the rock community. That's what I love about what I do in particular, because I'm not constrained like that. I can have that kind of fun. I can do that kind of stuff. The people that might have been complaining about it didn't understand it, didn't know about it, and I didn't have to get that much of it because I was, first of all, I'm up early in the morning, and then I went home and I did my other stuff, and then, we go out at night to host gigs and do certain things. So it was all, it was kind of in our circle. And quite honestly,
in our world,
if you weren't cool, you didn't get it anyway. It's
Yeah.
fine. So it kind of got pushed like that. Again, it was funny. It was a one-off. And if that's how you were going to judge me by one funny thing, well, then I don't need it. I don't need you. But
How often do people still bring it up to you?
more than I thought.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was last year, like last season.
And this, I mean, it's crazy. 2026 rolls around and I go, oh my God, 1996 was 30, it's 30 years ago, Jen. And people are still, I mean, that's how,
Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever fully grow up, but I don't think I really started to grow up until about last year.
Yeah.
Maybe it caught up with me. I don't know, but I just.
I always say you have to get older, but you can stay immature forever.
Absolutely.
I'm working on that.
Absolutely. And, life gets in your way a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
A lot of stuff's heavy.
Yeah, I am so
Yeah.
blessed to be able to work in the arena that I do, in the area that I do. Because we had as it happens, when corporate comes in and takes over and starts buying these stations and edicts, and they like cookie cutters and things. I'm just not a cookie cutter person. I never have been. So, I'm the art side of me, and plus, actually, I mean, honestly, suffering, a lot of lack when I was younger and a lot of issues when I was younger. I just didn't have that same attitude. So I just kept going, kept rolling, kept running. I didn't really look or think much because, especially in this job, there's always another, I got to keep going. There's always somebody who wants your chair. Always somebody thinks they can do it. Always somebody wants what you have. It's easy to be a copier, but not a creator. It's a whole lot more difficult to create than it is to just run everybody else's routine.
What they say on the TV side is, and I always keep this in mind, and this is what, keeps me somewhat grounded, is there's always somebody out there, you could say it's me, there's always somebody out there, Steve, that's half your age, better looking, and willing to do it for half the money.
Absolutely.
So you, just about the time you think you're real special, ping!
That's what got me up out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and on the road.
Yeah.
Because I knew, and so that was a great challenge to me, a great push. I wanted to keep what I had and grow it, which is another thing. We had one of our corporate programmers listen to the show when he first got the job. He's no longer with the no longer with the program or with the company.
Yeah.
But
I know the type.
yeah, he came in and he's like, well, I was listening. And my partners at the time, Nips and Earl, he said to us, well, I don't get it, but it works. I'm like, yes. Nips didn't take it that way. He takes things harder than I do anyway.
Yeah.
But, I didn't take it that way.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, they're going to leave us alone.
Yep.
You don't get it? Yes. And it's working. As long as we produce the numbers, as long as we do whatever, we're good. And he was upset because he's like, well, they're not going to, they didn't pat us on the back and tell us we're wonderful.
Yeah.
It is an ego
Yeah.
job.
Absolutely.
Everybody has an ego.
Absolutely.
Please.
In this business, you almost have to.
And I struggle with that sometimes
Yeah.
because I think I did, and then I lost it, and then I didn't know what I was doing. And even now, I'm like, what am I doing? But I just try to do what it feels good in my heart, and keep going and try to do what's right for anybody close to me and myself.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I thought that's freedom to me. And other people didn't take it that way. I don't know what everybody else was expecting, but I thought that was brilliant. And so we've been allowed to do what we do.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not messing it up now.
Yeah, well, yeah, no. Well, that leads me to, you wind up transitioning to the X. You and I had, there was a brief period of time, again, this would have been about 98, I think. You were doing afternoons on the X.
Yeah.
And I was working at Trafax. And most of the traffic reports, especially in those days, they were recorded and played back. We would send a traffic report. The person on the air would record it, and then they'd play it back like 5 minutes later. Right? I don't remember the circumstances as to why, but you and I can't remember if it was once an hour, twice an hour, we did ours live, and so I was Chopper Steve.
Yep.
And you were doing afternoons on the X, and we would just riff a lot. I was thinking about this today, thinking back to those days, and people would come up to me, and I would get a lot of feedback from the stuff that we would do on the air. We had I thought, a really good rapport. I thought we, played off each other really well. And people would come up and they'd say, you and Jen, you guys should do a show, and I'd be like, well, who knows, maybe, but you don't understand how Traffic works. I'm on bunch of different, I'm on 17 different stations, but I was thinking about that, and people always, you guys together you'd be great. So it only took until 2026.
Right.
We're finally doing a show.
Finally here.
We're finally doing a show together, folks.
Yeah, I because I worked with Ed and Jeff, and then I went to do afternoon. So when 105.7 started in this area, they had when I was saying my contract was up.
Yeah.
Or they served us with contracts
Right.
at TPA, and I went on vacation, and I made a phone call to a friend, and I said, so what happens if I'm served with a contract with what we call no consideration, with no, we've been working for a long time, and then all of a sudden you want a contract. Well, you got to give somebody something for that, and there was none of that. And the answer came back, why, who do you know over at TPA? And when this person said my name, they said, we want to talk to her. So I was brought across the street, which really doesn't ever happen.
Never happens. Yeah, it's very rare, folks. Yeah.
In a week.
Yeah.
The stars lined up. I was blessed quickly by what happened because I made that phone call. I acted on it. They said, we want to talk to you. And I came back from Ocean City, Maryland, went to a lunch meeting, and it was done. And I had to call back to the station and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you have nope, you'll have to produce it. And it got quiet. So I was the first jock on when it was the Edge.
Yeah,
went to
105.7 the Edge.
Format change. Which something a lot of people don't know is that was actually a purchase type format. That was not, because it was alternative. Oh, that was special, because alternative people want to be special. That's fine. And I have a lot of respect for that. But it's not how it worked. We actually had more latitude doing our own thing with the X. And so I was the first jock on after Howard. And Howard ended whenever he wanted to. So I just had to sit there and wait.
Yeah, he could go sometimes 11:30. Yeah, right. Yeah.
It was mind-numbingly scary.
Yeah.
And it was also really weird and uncomfortable because they escorted the midday guy out and brought me in. They put him out the front door and me through the back because it's just the way it was done.
Yeah.
And they don't just fire you and send you home. They also don't want to let you go and let you have the mic and tell everybody what a jerk you think everybody is.
Yeah.
So they did that, and then I had to sit there, and the rest of the staff just had to deal with me. And I had to wait till Howard was done. But that was the start of 105.7 The X as it stands right now, all those years ago.
So take me into, you didn't obviously transition.
Oh, wait, before you go too far.
Yeah.
Don't forget your question. The whole thing about you going live with me was because that's what I wanted, and I fought for that, because you were good enough.
Thank
you could.
Yeah.
And I'd worked with Ed and Jeff.
Yeah.
So me talking to myself was really not as much fun. And I don't know if you remember this or not. For a while there, I think at least 2 seasons, we kept track of how many mattresses flew off of people's cars. I think we're up to 21 or 2.
God,
Do you remember that?
Jen, I would have gone the rest of my life without remembering that. Oh my God. Yeah.
How many? You're like 3, 4. There's one on the South Bridge. That's 5.
did.
We kept track of how many mattresses.
That was a thing with traffic. It'd be like every once in a while, every couple of weeks, it'd be like, we'd literally be like, there's a problem on I-83 northbound. Just as you come toward the Paxton Street interchange, there's a mattress on the roadway.
Yeah.
Because people are still to this day, they're just trying to strap down a mattress and whing!
Yep.
Yeah.
It takes off. And we started counting, and it was so much more fun than just going over the standard traffic. It made sense. So I tried to bring the personality into it.
Well, thank you for doing that. I don't think I ever knew that part of the story, but yeah, I would do a traffic report, but it would be like, okay, I might be on with you for 3 minutes, which is an eternity in radio.
That's a long time.
Yeah. And 30 seconds of it might be traffic. We goofed.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's what I wanted.
Yeah,
I had to, you can just do it. No, it's more fun. It's more entertaining. It is entertaining.
And it was live.
Yeah.
We didn't record. Nope. There were some stations I did where it was a similar setup, but it was recorded. Mm-hmm. And I won't name names. I'll tell you after. Once the cameras are off, I'll tell you. And you won't be surprised.
Sure.
Yeah, you will not be surprised. But there were certain people that they they didn't have enough confidence in themselves, despite how quote unquote big they were as a personality. They would actually, they'd have me come on and we would do the same thing, but they wouldn't do it live.
No, and you
Yeah.
also could be a threat.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah,
It happens.
yeah.
And
Gee, you don't say.
people don't want to help you in this business because
Yeah.
you could take their job. Now there's a little more room now with you know all the other avenues for people to do this kind
Yeah.
of entertainment, but still it's going to come down to the same thing.
Yeah.
You still have to market, you still have to get viewers, you still have to. It's still the business frame. It's just a new model, And so I think people are finding out now in the influencer categories. Just doing something isn't enough. Like, oh, I got some face cream, is cute for a minute, but just like TV and everything else, the big shows on TV or even, whatever, you have to have a story. If you notice, almost anybody who gets any of these, like even reality or semi-reality shows, they have stories. When they go up to sing on The Voice, they have a story. Because that's what the connection is. If all you did was just program, shove stuff at people, it gets lost. They're numb. They don't see it and hear it anymore. So even though there's a novelty aspect to some of it in the beginning, it eventually still comes down to, A, you got to be good enough, and B, you have to be able to market, contain it, and figure out the business aspect of it. You have to know your business. Musicians, everybody, you got to know your business.
So when did the whole transition, and it's funny because I have tremendous respect for him, and shout out to Nipsey, but I remember, it seems to me he was doing nights.
He was.
Like when he first started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just remember listening and being like, this guy's really good. Like, for this, I don't know where this guy came from, what he's doing at nights is different.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just your typical, and I did nights at Starview back in the day, so I felt like I had an ear for what's good and what isn't, at least to me. And I thought, man, this kid, I think we're about the same age, but wow, he's really good. So when did the whole People's Morning Show, which congratulations on your success, by the way.
20 years last year.
Isn't this crazy? That never happens in this business.
True.
Where a morning show lasts A, that long, B, with one exception, the same cast of characters. So how did that start?
Well, the easiest way to explain it is that I had been, with the ex for quite a while. And I don't even remember, to be honest with you, what year it was. I'd have to go back and think about it. But I was, the business side of it and the interpersonal activities behind the scenes had gotten so difficult. I really didn't have a heart in it anymore. And some stuff went down, and I ended up going out to Carlisle to work for 102.3, to one of our sister stations. I did that, and then I was just they blew that station up. That's what we call it when they shut it down and do something else. So they blew that up, and I ended up having some time off for the first time in my life. And I don't know, was I about 15 years into it? I don't know. I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm qualified to do what I went to school for. I don't know what I'm doing. So I was out of the business, but it was only about 10 months. And that's when Nipsey and Earl were getting together. I didn't know any of this. I just was trying to find my life because I lost the ego. I felt like there was a mask running out in front of me, if that makes any kind of sense. Like the person I was and was becoming wasn't that same person that everybody was hearing anymore. And that's an inner conflict that not everybody has I call it a privilege to go through, but it's hard. It's really hard. So I didn't know what I was going to do. And there's another thing people don't realize. During what we used to call the ratings periods in the spring and fall books, you weren't allowed to take vacation, ever. So having off, I'm going to Vegas. For a while, I went like every year, like twice a year, because it was cheap then. It was like $400. I'm going to go to Vegas. Yeah. I was out, and I'd known Earl from working at the country station that we had.
Cat Country.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I was in Vegas, and I was returning the rental car, and I looked up at the Riviera marquee, and I saw Earl David Reed. And I was like, oh my God. And I got home, and I got online, and I said, I was just out there. I wish I would have known. I was there that night. I could have come there. Oh, that was cool, because we knew each other. Mm-hmm. I didn't know him real well. And he just said to me, he goes, I can't say anything yet, but I'm coming back. Because he was touring all over the country. Mm-hmm. I'm coming back. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it wasn't more than a week or two after that that I found out that they were getting together to do the show, and that was in November. And that was because Stern was leaving. He decided he was going to go do other things, right? And then, like, you're going to let somebody stay on the air? So we just cut him. People were, actually, it was really kind of weird because you would think that there would be a major backlash. His fans, it was a bit of a backlash, and people are nasty on the phones and stuff. But, you know, oh my God, I can't believe, but we got more advertisers. We got more business because they felt they couldn't maybe advertise with him. So, and the way the business side of it worked, it actually worked out just fine. And we thrived and we're great. But that was November when they started. And in February, I got the call because I was working for Ron Kamianka, and I was the executive director of entertainment for, I don't know, at one point, I think we had like 12, 13 nightclubs.
Yeah.
I was hiring bands and, you know, and again, running into the format of doing all that kind of stuff and the DJs and all the things that need to be done. And they reached out to him because he was also a client, so they didn't want to upset him. And they said, would you mind if we approached her for coming back? And I said, okay, I'll come back. They were fine with it. But I was also, because of the business being so ugly in so many levels, and I'm not talking down about it other than it's got a lot of moving parts. And all the things that we already talked about.
And personalities.
And business and things you agree with or don't agree with. And I said, okay, I'll do the show, but I'm only doing part-time. I'm going to stay with Ron, and I'll come in and do the show. So sometimes my Fridays were 24-hour days. I can't imagine doing that now. But, you know, I would do the show and then work all weekend and then come back in and, you know, just do it was just that's kind of how it started, and then eventually, you know, it was okay, I'm back full time, and went from there. But it was just that weird little thing, but it was a cool story.
Yeah. So, key to the longevity of the show, in your opinion?
Of the show?
Yeah.
We took very seriously, at least I did, and I know Nips does. Nips is so serious about his job. I think I worry about him sometimes. I'm like, it's okay, everything's all right. Or there'll be a time when when you're gonna want to worry.
Yeah.
Now's not it. It's just frustrating when you want to do stuff and you're creative, and maybe the business you're working in is not creative, and you know your bosses want something but you want something else. There's just a lot of that. And I think overall, though, I had it burned into me from the very beginning, listener benefit. I know he hates hearing that. So anytime you open a mic or anytime you do something and you want to talk, it's about the listener. It's not about you telling your story because you want to hear yourself. It's you telling a story so you can relate to people, or if they're driving in their car, they're forgetting about themselves, they're having a laugh at your expense, or it's something that affects them. So if you can imagine yourself in the car, in the house, whatever, going about your life and hearing it, you know, if you keep in that lane, then you're good. And we always took that seriously. Or is trying to make it entertaining, informative, you know, giving you a little bit of everything. So if you only have 15 to 20 minutes, and that's all, you know, there's clocks involved and how things operate. And it's like, if all you have is that 15, 20 minutes, did you get something worth it for you that you could apply to your life? And when you can do that, it can last. And I think that, you know, it translates to everything that's going on now too.
Yeah, it really is. It's a remarkable run. And one thing that I've always really respected, not only about you, but about Nips, and I just met Vince for the first time this week at the farm show, so I can't speak for knowing him very well. I won't pretend and act like I do, but for all of the things that we've talked about that are things that are the side of the business that people don't know, don't see, that really are like for lack of a better term, it's like for us, it's just like a bad rash.
Yeah, we had insider chat.
Yeah, but the respect, and I know you feel the respect that Nipsey has, that you have for just the craft of broadcasting, and what it takes to do it, and to try to do it well. And by the same token, this is one thing I think that I'll speak for you, that I'm sure that, you know I feel this way. I know you do too. The respect that you we have so much respect for the audience.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Even the people that are watching this right now, we have so much respect for the audience that people would we never lose the fact that when somebody comes up to me and says, "You're my favorite weatherman," then I go, all the bullshit of this business is worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that never gets old.
No.
It sometimes a little awkward, because I'm not all those things, but it never gets old. Being appreciated is such a cool thing, and when you actually feel like you've earned it,
Yeah.
it's not fake. And there's a lot of fake stuff. I mean, there are some fake things, that happen to everybody. But when you feel like you've really poured your heart and soul into something, and
Yeah.
somebody walks up to you and says, you impacted my life, one of the biggest returns we get out of that is seen when we do the Children's Miracle Network, when we
Sure.
do the Pay for Play. When we did the Pay for Play the first year, we said, okay, we're going to ask them to request songs, and then they're going to pay money to hear them. And the weirder it is, or the less we play it, then, like Taylor Swift or, whatever it is.
Sure. The
then,
Monster Mash.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
it's
yeah.
$500, and we're going to raise money for Children's Miracle Network. And we raised $43,000 the first year. And my God, we thought, wow,
Yeah.
this is cool. And this last year, we hit the $4 million mark
Right.
at 19
That's
years.
unbelievable.
$4 million total, and $404,000 in that 28-hour period. It's brought in, but it's all local.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, major stuff. We do have matches and things
Yeah.
from business, but it's really all our listeners. The biggest thing about that is it's us doing it together. I don't ever walk in the studio, not one single day, where I think it's about me and what I'm going to accomplish. It's like, what can we do? What can we do together as a team?
Yeah.
What can we do to impact people's lives? And that means fun too. Like just doing good things and feeling good working together. And that's where I see it mostly. That's a culmination of all of our work, really, because it shows up with the Children's Miracle Network. Mm-hmm. Because look at what a bunch of us can do together. And it really doesn't take that much if you're in the right mindset for it. So, we have a really cool format and unique ability to talk to our listeners every day. I think a lot of our listeners probably do know me better than most of my family members, because my daughter always says, you don't have to live with her. Like she does listen now. She's a little older now, so she has a little bit more respect for it, but she did not care, not at all. So I don't think she got it. And, some of my family does or doesn't listen because it's not their thing. And we're mostly talk, so we're on a rock format, but we do have a really big audience of men, women, different ages, and I love that. It's a responsibility to try to do all the right things, but at the same time, we can have a good time together. And I'm always looking for that. I don't know if I'll ever stop chasing rainbows.
Yeah.
I don't want to stop dreaming. I don't want to
Yeah.
stop aiming for something or working harder and higher. Recently, I'm like, man, you're overweight. You got to get your crap together. You got to get it moving if you want to keep doing something. So I had to put my heart into it, because there's nothing like, even just for us personally, somebody walking up to you, you put on a couple pounds. Shut up. Or when you lose weight.
You don't have to go on camera every day.
Right, and that's a
Trust me.
godsend. Let me tell you.
Right.
Because that's horrible.
At 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
I did a short stint when I was in between the jobs there for a second at Metro, and I was in the producer's hub, and I did a couple of breaks. That's an unsung job too, just trying to make sure everybody's taken care of in that regard,
Yeah.
minute to minute for different stations stuff. But I was in the producer's hub, and I would take calls, and I remember the one girl that was on TV, and people would call and scream about her. She has too much mascara on.
Yeah.
Her hair.
Oh, I've heard it all.
Nasty.
I've heard it all.
What the hell does she looks like one woman called, she looks like a hussy. I'm like, who uses that? But somebody's grandma. But okay. So people are so hypercritical. I mean,
I've taken every sling, I've taken every arrow. And honestly, I'm probably a little too sensitive to do this. So I'll just admit, like, I've gotten better, but you're inhuman if it doesn't bother you.
yeah. So
If people don't tell you that, and I got into TV from radio, and the
Right.
joke is always face for radio.
Yeah.
So
But you do it, and you look great. Although I know there are times where you were doing some of the traffic and stuff, you had shorts on underneath that
facts.
suit. Now you have to move around.
No, I can't get away with it anymore. But thank you. But yeah.
Like, he looks all nice on top. He's got
Yeah.
shorts and his sneakers on under the. It's the one blessing about radio.
I miss that. That's one thing I really do miss, was like literally I would take a shower the night before and then come in the morning, and you could just have a baseball hat on and sweatpants and
Yep.
and whatever, what I mean? And that was, especially in those days, it was more accepted. Because you're in the office during the day, do you feel the need to just be maybe a little bit more professional, or can you still get away with?
look, I'll
Pajamas.
I always dress up. If there's a meeting, I dress up.
Sure.
If there's something, I know my rooms.
Yeah.
Depending on what I'm doing, where I'm speaking, or where I'm at. Like, I'm not going to go to host a motorcycle rally and in a ball gown. I mean, there's just some things that are just good sense.
Yeah.
But I think most of it is because of the cameras.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, though, about audio is that people are listening to while they're doing other things, so they don't have to be on the front staring at you.
Yeah.
And it's about the content. You can't get away from the content because there's no distraction. I'm going, and it freaks me out to even say it now that I think about it. I mean, what I'm saying is going right into somebody's ear and head. Mm-hmm. So there's no distraction, and so that's it. So I love that aspect of it too, because it's got a value that is very unique that I really enjoy, because it makes me stay on my game. I can't smoke and mirror anybody because it's either there or it's not. And I don't, but I also don't. I mean, I did when, I don't remember what year that was either. So I did XYZ with WITF and Andrea Campbell.
I remember that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was local. Yeah, totally. I totally remember that.
It's what we call magazine style.
Yes.
And so it was
You would have bands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bands, locations, places. Right. Examine Your Zip Code was what XYZ stood for.
Yes.
I auditioned for that.
About 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I auditioned for that, and it was really weird, but also a testimonial to just being yourself. I went into that audition. First of all, I got my hair cut before. Don't ever get your hair cut before anything important, okay? Because I didn't feel like myself. And I think I had a leather jacket on or something. And I walk into this room with all the other people auditioning for the host job. And it was recommended to me. I'm like, okay, sure. I'm like, put yourself through a scary hell. That sounds like fun. Let's just go see if we can do it. And it's ITF, and you don't look anything like those other people, but go try it out anyway. It'll be a good experience. So I go into the room. It's an entire conference room with all these people. And there are people there with suits on. Women with blazers and suits and matching skirts and the whole thing.
ITF is a pretty buttoned-up operation.
It is, and there's a great place for that.
Yeah.
I wasn't any of it.
Right.
But when they did the read, which I recommend, putting yourself in scary stuff whenever you can. I go in, I'm trying to just memorize stuff, not my biggest, word for word, verbatim recitation, not my greatest thing. But I'm like, okay, remember what you're supposed to say. Go in, open door, walk down steps, and deliver your line and walk to whatever, blocking, okay? So I'm looking at all these other people, I'm like, I don't fit in. And I have a bad haircut. This is gonna suck. And I don't know what I'm doing, I almost cried. So I just said, get through it, you're not walking out. So I did it. Well, I opened the door and there are two massive monitors with my face on it. I'm like, oh my God. I almost forgot the lines, did whatever I was supposed to, just like the first day on the radio. No clue what I was doing. Just tried to do it right. Did it and went home. I'm like, oh my God.
They'll never call me.
That was horrible.
Yeah.
I'll never do that again. I'm not getting a job. I didn't look like those other people. I didn't act like those other people. And when they called me for it, I asked Andrea, I said, if you don't mind, she said, we really like you to do this. And I said, can I ask you why? And I said, because I didn't fit in. And she said, that's exactly why. We didn't want someone who was just in that box.
We didn't want Guy Smiley.
Yeah, and that's not the kind of show this was. So we traveled around, and she did most of the legwork. It was a very labor-intensive project. I did the in-between the bumpers and stuff. But it was a real education for me, too, as to how much work goes into all of that. There's now people probably understand a little bit more, but even so, I think people get into, doing podcasts and influencer type stuff, and they have no idea. Like, editing is horrible. For someone like me who has ADD, I cannot stand to sit and edit anything. And so that was a lot of work. But, there'd be times where they'd be like, okay, you look great in your own way. That's cool. But can you change your lipstick? It's a little too red. I'm like, okay, whatever. So it gets picky like that,
Yeah.
And for females, it's like your hair, your face, your clothes, your whatever.
A lot worse to be a female.
And the judgment against women is still insane.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, I'm sorry, I'll say it out loud. The guys who look like, look like a frog, and then she's like all done up and everything else, and like the standard is way off,
way out of whack,
and it's unfair. But at the same time, I still put makeup on to go to the mailbox because I have some kind of dignity
Yeah.
and pride.
Yeah.
I always want to try.
Yeah.
So I keep trying to do that, but TV was, I like it. It's okay.
Yeah.
And maybe I'd be better at it now, but at the time I was like, I just want to go do stuff and I don't want to be this stuck. But that was a great opportunity because it really was my thing. I really enjoyed it. And the only reason we didn't go any further was because it was so labor intensive. Andrea couldn't keep doing it forever.
Yeah.
But that was a fun gig.
Before we get you out of here, we got to talk about another really big passion of yours, motorcycles.
Yep. Motorcycles and music, man.
Yeah. So talk about all the things you got going on motorcycle-wise.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I've expanded. I'm doing a lot more. So I do a lot of bike nights. I do a lot of other things, but I'm also a spokesperson for different products. I've worked with in the last year like Ryder Insurance, Yuasa Battery, global companies doing things. I travel a lot at this point, so I've been doing, and I may pick up more or not depending on my schedule because I still have to be locked in the studio, even though maybe I don't have to be. Working on that.
Yeah.
But I love to ride. I have my 17 Road Glide that I just redid. It's a custom Road Glide. And I just love to travel with that. I love to promote motorcycle lifestyle. You never know who you're with when you're on a motorcycle. Could be a lawyer, could be a millionaire, could be somebody who's got absolutely nothing. It's a leveler. We love to ride. I go to Sturgis every year. I've been doing that for like 18 years. I started working a little bit, try to keep that to a minimum. And I also picked up some rally gigs, so like the Four Corners Motorcycle Rally out in Colorado, some of the best people I've ever worked with. I highly recommend getting the heck out of Dodge every once in a while. As much as I stayed here, I like to travel. My bike gives me the opportunity to do that. So I get to work with, like Thursdays we do Susquehanna Valley Harley. We have these bike nights and stuff where people just gather. If you don't ride, you still come out. We have bands, we have great food. We know where all the good food is. But my bike is my freedom. It got me through like COVID and things. It's gotten me through tough things in life. It's one thing you do alone. Nobody can make a judgment for you. You have to be aware constantly in the moment. I love the bike. I love the velocity. I love the people. I love the music involved. I love all of that. So I promote as much as I can. I know even to this day, people are like, oh, dirty bikers. It's not the case.
Right.
It's a beautiful group of people who are, and it's not just my opinion, some of the most charitable individuals on the planet. Every single weekend, I can't do enough. Like every single weekend, there's 5, 6, 7 rides when we're at peak. Just people raising money for somebody who had a house fire, who has a child who's sick, somebody who needs whatever. Like ABATE, they call it ABATE out west.
Right.
I was corrected on that. But like ABATE, Mason-Dixon, where I'm a member, but all the ABATE chapters in our area constantly doing work. The clubs, the groups, things like that. They're constantly raising money. I mean, they raise hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and do ham giveaways and children's giveaways. It's one of the most amazing communities that exists.
That's very, very giving.
Yeah.
Not a rider myself, but have been at a lot of events and that kind of thing. And there's I don't want to say a misconception, but there is somewhat of a
Oh,
misconception.
sure. There's the judginess. And people love to get involved with our business over on the other side, what we should and shouldn't be doing. Look, every time we get on a motorcycle, it could be your last.
Yeah.
It's a very dangerous thing to do. And I try to keep that out of my head. But the way people drive and they're on their phones and everything else, but it is still freedom, man. When I go out west, you can go for hours and see no one.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And there's not, look at me, I'm
like the most, for those who've never been out west, and honestly, your eyes just are deceiving you.
You can't.
From the most beautiful, most picturesque country you've ever laid your eyes on.
You can't wrap your head around.
It's unbelievable.
There's nothing like riding across Wyoming for me. Nothing.
Yeah.
And I just love it.
Yeah.
And so I enjoy all of that, and I've gotten involved with work and stuff in the community, promoting rallies and rides and music that's involved, because there's a great combination there. And so I
Best
do
way
those
to
on
find information on this, Facebook, would you say?
Yeah, Facebook right now.
Yeah,
I'm working on
yeah.
a couple projects that'll change that here coming up, especially with the
Yeah.
35th. So I've got something big that I'll probably lay out in about 3 weeks. Again, it's all me, so I
Right.
got to figure it all out. But if you can find me, it's just Jen Shade
Yeah.
on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, although I keep getting wig sales and a bunch of AI garbage on there that I really am done with. But
I've kind of given up on TikTok.
I like
it's
technology.
where so many people are, though.
Yeah, I'm not a
unfortunately.
hater. I love technology.
Yeah.
I love stuff.
Yeah.
Give me something new that I can get into. But it's getting so dicey with the AI. You can't tell what's what. I'm not really, But, all that, and I'll have a couple of new things, too. So it's easy to find me.
Cool. All right, I'm going to hit you with the final four, last four questions, and we're going to start with, what is your favorite band or artist of all time? And we're not doing Mount Rushmore. I've done that before.
Oh, God.
You got to pick one.
Okay, one.
Yeah.
I'm into a lot of newer music at the moment, but it'll always probably be The Cure.
Okay.
I've been a Cure fan forever, Robert Smith fan forever.
Have you seen them recently?
I did. I just saw them at Merriweather.
I heard they were really good.
I thought they were excellent.
Yeah.
My friend that went with me did not a fan.
Okay.
I think they fell asleep.
Not a fan of the band.
The band. It's
Okay,
not,
so-
it's a very defined kind of music.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Sleep Token's got a little bit of that going on right now.
time.
I love
Sleep
them.
Token, yeah.
I love them. But Cure will always be my number one.
Okay.
And not Friday I'm in Love either. That's like,
Oh, yeah, that's the, yeah.
wow.
Right. That's like me saying I'm a Kiss fan, and the greatest Kiss song of all time is Rock and Roll All Night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I love that song. You know,
Yep.
Rock and Roll All Night comes on, I'm like, no.
Yeah, I'm done
not
with that.
For the, yeah.
I've absorbed all of that one
Yeah,
for a long time. I'm good.
Yeah. If you could have lunch with one person, dead or alive, and it doesn't have to be in the music or broadcast industry, who would it be?
That's easy and it's very personal. My dad.
I figured you would say that.
He died when I was 9.
I
And
know enough about you to know that, but that's kind of what I thought you would say.
they say you never get over it, you get used to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I get used to it either. Because there'll be days I'm driving down the road, I'm like, where did you go? And now as I get older, I'm like, where am I going? It's the biggest impact, the biggest influence.
If you don't mind me saying,
Mm-hmm.
just so people know, you lost your father and you lost him suddenly.
He died 2 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
He was 46 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
And yeah, I was 9 years old, and nothing was ever the same.
Mm.
And good and bad. You know, I'll be honest, I'm lucky I'm still alive. We can get into that sometime. There's been some really low moments and really dark places. I'm not a big person for that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
I just want to say it out loud because I want people to know if you are suffering, you're not alone. That caused a lot of damage, and complex PTSD is a real thing that I didn't want to own or understand until just recently. It's affected me greatly, and there were days where I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. I never take my own life, but I didn't care if I got up anymore.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was in there because a lot of things that happened when I was younger. So
And you had Derry, you know, so.
I'm a survivor. I'm an
Yeah.
overcomer. There was never a quit in there anywhere. But yeah, my dad, I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah.
And well, I don't know if I think he'd be pretty okay with it. Everything I'm doing. I think you want to be a nurse. You want me to be a nurse or a teacher because back in the old school, because then women will always have jobs.
Oh, well, it was a different time.
I'm a little bit off of that path, but
Yeah,
hopefully I'm somewhere in there.
Yeah. What's the one song that you wish you would have written?
Oh, right now, I can only say
Period.
right. I can only say right now because I get absorbed in whatever's in front of me.
Yeah.
It's Sleep Token and Euclid.
You know, I would not have pegged you as a Sleep Token person.
I love that
yeah.
symphony, that
Oh,
synth
yeah,
sound.
yeah.
You just layer that stuff up. I mean, because a good song, you can play it on a guitar, an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
But then when you expand that to what they're doing, I love it.
I've never seen them, but I've watched a bunch of their stuff on YouTube. So if anybody doesn't know who we're talking about, check out Sleep Token because it's a presentation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's a show. You know, and
It's-
I dig that.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the musicals and stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So that's in here, and
Yeah.
the choruses, the choirs, all kinds of stuff. I did all that, so that's in there. And I just that to me, I heard that song, and I remember I was laying in bed, and I listened to it, and I felt like I was going somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's what when a piece of music moves me,
Yeah.
that's all I need.
Beatles or the Stones?
I'm a Stones. I'm a Stones.
Stones are making a comeback, gentlemen. Talking
And
to Jeff and
I don't know
Ben
if you
here
remember at
behind
the time.
camera,
Yeah, we took 300 people to go see them we did Pink Floid, and then we did these with magic buses we used to call them.
Yep.
And
Starvey, we did the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
and nothing but great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just rock and roll, man. That's all. It's just the cleanest, clearest, bluesy rock you could possibly get.
Yeah. Yeah. My answer is also the Stones, even though I love the Beatles. But my whole thing always was that I was born in 1970. You and I are about the same age. The Beatles were pretty much done.
Even my parents, they were older. They weren't into it. And that has a big
Yeah,
impact on you. Like
sure.
what your parents listen to is what you
Yeah.
kind of drive into. You may not stay there, but it does form you.
Yeah.
So if your parents did, my parents did not. My parents like Engelbert Humperdinck and
Yeah.
not even Elvis really. Elvis wasn't a big family thing either. We had
I just remember getting like a new Stones album. I remember when "Start Me Up" was the brand new single. And
What
I
was your
remember the
first
video.
record? Do you know what your first record was?
The first record that I ever had, period.
Real record.
You're gonna think I'm full of shit, but it's true. Because I had an older brother, and I bought it with my allowance at Two Guys Department Store in Lancaster. It was Kiss Destroyer.
And so it began.
Yeah. No, I pulled it out of the record bin, and I'm like, this is the one that I want. And like, my mom was like, I was 6.
6.
I was 6, but my brother was like 9. And then I also lived in like a cul-de-sac neighborhood with a bunch of kids, and all the kids on the bus were Kiss, 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 Kiss. And I'm 6 years old, and to me, they're like comic book superheroes, yet they play music.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get a Kiss record so bad, I saved up my allowance, and my mom had no idea. And then I'm like, this is it. And my mom's like, you know the cover of Destroyer?
Yeah.
It's like, a wrecked city, and Gene Simmons' hair is on fire. And I'm sure my mom was like, I had my thoughts that maybe he was possessed by the devil. Now it's confirmed.
I'm sure now. I'm sure. Yeah, that's something, isn't it?
Yeah. What was yours?
Tom Petty, Damn the Torpedoes.
Oh, that's a great one.
I don't know we're going to cut it here, but real quick.
Yeah. Refugees on Damn the Torpedoes.
I got that album, but it was
Yeah.
Christmas Eve, and I was allowed to open one gift, and I had friends over and family over, and I thought that's what it was under the tree, and I opened it up, and it was Wonder Woman underoos in front of all my friends.
Wow. Wonder what. Did the Underoos come in a...
They did.
They did.
Go look it up.
Yeah.
I remember opening that package in front of all my friends. I'm like, I'm going to play this record, and it's going to be so awesome, and I'm going to be cool. And I opened it up, and I just stood there. And I think I threw it down and ran to my room, and I was never...
Embarrassed.
I had another incident where I was not quite the same afterwards. I'll never forget it. The next day, I got Tom Petty, but everybody was gone, and the story lives on.
And you listened to your Tom Petty record in your Underoos.
And my underoos. My God.
Jen, thank you. Thanks for making the time. Schedules are difficult. You have an extremely busy schedule.
For you, always, man.
Oh, well, that's you're far too... I think we have to wrap because I'm almost out of beer.
You are?
I mean, you...
I don't even... I'm
yeah,
good.
you've just been... Yeah, so... I need a fresh beer, so we gotta wrap.
To the bar we go?
Yeah, to the bar
Thanks,
we
man.
go.
I appreciate it. I know we got into some deep talk there, but that was pretty cool.
No. I wanted to have this conversation. It's like when I messaged you, I said, I think, arrogantly, I was like, I think that people will enjoy hearing from you, and I think they will enjoy hearing from you in this setting where we can just kind of... You never get a chance to do this.
No, no, I don't.
Yeah.
No. This is what we'd be doing anyway if we were at the Legion or something.
It's exactly, because that's what when I run into you, what do we always slip right into the business.
We start
Yeah, and this bullshit and that bullshit, and then,
People don't relate. If you're not in it, you don't know. So we see one of our kind, and we're like, oh, I know it's a Friday night, but...
We speak the same language.
Yeah.
Nah,
it's all good.
All right, thanks so much for being here. We'd love to have you back sometime. If you're gracious enough to make the time for us, we'd love to have you back
Anytime.
sometime. All right, thanks. And thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Night Shift. Cut. Good.
Nice.
That was so much fun.
Thank you so much, man. That's
That was
great.
outstanding.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was so cool.